turn to our next scripture this morning, coming from the Gospel of John, chapter 18, verses 33 through 37. Then Pilate entered the headquarters again, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I'm not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." And then Pilate asked him, "What is truth?" "The grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of the Lord lives forever." And this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So on Friday night, when our dog Bianca came in from the backyard, she started licking her paw. She was like she was licking a wound to mend it. So it turned out she split a nail. And she's split these nails before. I don't know. She's got kind of soft nails or something, and they have to be really short for her not to end up splitting them. And she goes nuts running around. And then the two things together don't work well. But she got a nasty little boo-boo. All right, so the next morning, yesterday, we took her into the vet to get her all fixed up. They had to give her some anesthesia so she wouldn't feel any pain while they got that nail off, and they bandaged her up. Anytime she's had that before, I've stayed out front. But this time, they brought us both back into one of those little doggy checkup rooms at the vet to do it. They gave her the anesthesia shot. A minute or two later, she started getting a little wobbly. So I nudged her on over to me, sat her down, and I held her as she faded into unconsciousness and laid her down. You know, that was tough to see. It took me back to a few years ago when Megan's dog, Rai Rai, had to be put to sleep. That's so hard to do. It's heartbreaking. Rai Rai had cancer, and we'd reached having to make a decision, so he wouldn't have to suffer. We were all together at her parents' house. The vet came over there, so Rai Rai could die in peace, not feeling any pain, at home with the family. Holding Bianca yesterday took me back to that. And then also forward in time, knowing that she's not going to live forever, and that someday we're going to have to go through that with her. It was a tough moment. But you know, the difference between the experience with Rai Rai a few years ago and Bianca yesterday was the truth about what was going on. With Rai Rai, he was suffering. We were relieving him of that suffering. With Bianca, we were just giving her anesthesia. She was just going unconscious for a little while so we could fix her up. Even knowing the truth, it still made me nervous yesterday. Like, I kept petting her the whole time. I kept feeling for her breathing, making sure her heart was still beating. I was just nervous. It was just kind of getting to me, making sure she was okay. And she was okay. She was just fine. Afterward, the vet gave the reversal shot. She slowly started waking back up. She was woozy, confused, feeling pretty crummy and needing some cuddles the rest of the day, as you can see that in that picture. Except now she's also wearing a little doggy bandage with paws on it. She's just fine. Thank God for that. And thank God for the truth, for knowing what's actually going on. Like Macy was describing, the difference between the truth and not the truth is about what's actually going on. So I'm thankful for knowing what was going on and for knowing how to respond. In the gospel passage today, we've stepped into Jesus' trial before Pontius Pilate. This peasant has been brought before Pontius Pilate. Chief priests accusing him of blasphemy, calling himself king of the Jews. But Pilate hasn't heard him say anything at all. So he gives Jesus a chance to speak. Are you the king of the Jews? What have you done? And then Jesus explains basically, do I look like a king to you? My kingdom isn't from this world. If it was, my followers would be fighting just like everybody else. No, I'm here to testify to the truth. Anyone who belongs to the truth will listen. And in response, Pilate asked him, what is truth? So what is truth? In that tough moment between Jesus and Pilate, the truth about this world and the next world is revealed. The bottom line in this world is money and power and violence. That's the stuff it ultimately comes down to, and who says what goes. And death tends to win in this world. Now, the bottom line in the next world, though, is unconditional love. New life defeats death. Lying, cheating, and bullying, and false accusations, torture, and capital punishment, all that stuff, that may win in this world. But the love of God wins in the next world. Thing is, though, the love of God wins in this world too. Eventually, it will drive all the evil out of this world. We're just not quite there yet. We lose sight of how powerful God's love is when we're focused on all the bad stuff. Pain and heartache is very, very, very distracting. But the truth is always there. So in every situation, we should look for it. Just a little bit ago, you heard about the truth of where we are now as a congregation. Financially, that is. Not that anything's ever been hidden, about the financial stuff. But let's be honest, how many of us want to dig into our monthly financial statements and look at numbers? Well, some of us do, okay. My wife, she does. Put a spreadsheet in front of her, and it's like she's playing a game of Candy Crush. She absolutely loves it. The rest of us, though, we just tend to, let the board take care of that. It's not stuff I really want to deal with. And now is a great time for us to all take a good look at it and think prayerfully about the truth. We've lost a lot of our beloved brothers and sisters in this congregation. I've been here over 9 years. We've had a lot of funerals. Along with our grief, we've also got a lot less money to operate. And actually, the operations and maintenance of this building aren't that bad. We can afford this stuff. Even considering the septic pump thing right now. And we were talking about it. John said that when it was put in, it was like a $29,000 system. And it's been towards 20 years now. We haven't had to do any work on it. So now it's a $6,000 job. Well, that makes sense. The thing is, with the bill, the maintenance and stuff, we can afford that. And the thing that's getting us is the loan. We owe $147,395.29 on that loan. That's where we are today with it. So to put that in perspective, like John was saying, he thought that number started at $800,000, and I've been hearing it started out as $1 million. I haven't actually seen that number, but if we were just say it started, because there was a lot paid before that ever building this building. Pay for the property and everything leading up to it. So let's just say a cool $1 million, right? Paid down to $147,000. That's astonishing considering the size of this congregation. This was never a large congregation. 86% of $1 million paid down by the love and dedication of a faithful few who make up this congregation of the Lord. Meanwhile, now we look at that budget, we see our bank account draining every month. We can see at this rate, the money is going to run out long before the loan is paid off. That is the truth. That's a hard truth to accept. But you know what? As we see in the passage today, we belong to the truth. So we need to respond to the truth. However, before we respond, let's look at some more truth. Let's look for more truth in this situation. Here's another number. It's also on that same budget sheet that we all got passed around to us. We, not me alone, not you alone, we together put together a proposal for the Clergy Renewal Grant from the Lilly Foundation and CTS. We were awarded that grant. That amount of money that you see sitting in that bank account, in the sabbatical account, is what we have left to spend for the congregation's portion of that. So it's just money that happens to be there. And what we received and what we see in our budget is there because of the generosity of the Lilly Foundation and CTS, first of all. And second of all, because of the grant proposal that we put together. At the board meeting, when we were looking at the budget, feeling all doomy and gloomy about it, we stopped and looked at this number, at the sabbatical number. What we have left to spend from that grant, $11,000 some, almost $12,000. Of course, that money has places to go. It can only be used for sabbatical stuff, but that's not the point. The point is there is an awful lot of money flowing out there in the world, and an awful lot of people and organizations who love to give and who want to support the work of the church. We applied for that specific grant with a specific goal in mind. And as you can see, the proof is in the pudding. There are people out there who are called to help churches like us carry on the Lord's work far into the future, and with God's help, we can connect with them. There's a lot more of that out there. This grant, all in all, for what we received together as a package, $50,000 grant. Lilly awarded 28 of these grants for Indiana, like 143 of these grants for the nation. And that's one organization given all that money to help churches be filled with new life and be sustainable far into the future. All right, it's a clergy renewal grant, and that's the purpose, and they give, well, we looked it up, it was like $8 million a year or more, for this purpose. And think of how many organizations there are out there, how many people out there that want to give like that. So, the truth is we can connect with those people. This is a much more hopeful and inspirational truth to accept. By knowing the love and dedication of this congregation that's paid that debt down, like from $1 million somewhere down to $147,000. By knowing the gargantuan amounts of money being given to support the work of church in this world. By knowing that we are more than able to connect with people who are giving that money and want to help. I believe we can set a goal to raise money and pay off that loan. To pay off that $147,395 that's left. I think we can set that goal and attain it. By pushing ourselves in our tithing and our offerings here at church. By applying for every grant that we can find that would be relevant. By writing letters to other large organizations who may not give those kind of grants already. By starting GoFundMe campaigns on the internet and stuff like that. We can do this. We can pay off the loan. That's the sabbatical, or that's the truth that I see in that sabbatical bank account right now. Is a message counteracting our fear of that loan hanging over us. That with God's help, we can pay that off. After we pay it off, we'll be all right. Truth can be hard to take in. Truth can be absolutely heartbreaking. Truth gets us through some really tough moments. And truth gives way to new life. Truth can be very complicated. Otherwise, Pontius Pilate wouldn't have asked Jesus, what is truth? It's not easy to explain. But we know it when we see it on a budget. We know it when we see it in a loved one dying. We know it when we see it and a loved one recovering from a nasty boo-boo. We know it when we hear it in Jesus' voice, and we know we belong to it. Truth is, I don't like talking about money in sermons. I don't do it much, hardly at all. I'd rather take on these hot-button issues that we all get all hot-tempered and fuss about, like homosexuality or women in ministry or politics. I'd rather take any of that stuff over talking about money during sermons and risk sounding like some money-grubbing fake preacher. That's all he cares about. Truth is, I need to get over that. And we've got to knock out this loan. God's put us here for a reason. I think that we are a very important church in this community. I think that this town, here in New Pal, this town needs a bridge between liberals and conservatives. And that's who we are. I've been New Palestine Christian Church Disciples of Christ since 1870. And as people of Jesus, as people of the kingdom, as people who belong to the truth and have been chosen by God to testify to the truth in this world, may we see the truth. May we hear the truth. May we know the truth and respond to the truth in Jesus' name. Amen.